Boy. Hello and welcome to SpongeBob Boys, the only SpongeBob review show where a random number generator picks the episodes we review. I'm your host, Gus Zagarella, and as I always say, normalize manslaughter.
Yes, and I like first-degree murder. I'm Henry. I suppose this is SpongeBob Boys.
We're on SpongeBob Boys. That's right. It's the show you know and love, and we're back with some original flavor, classic episodes from the good seasons. Heavy question mark, big question mark the size of the Eiffel Tower.
I mean, speak for yourself. I was on season 11. I got some shiters, but they were fascinating ones, I will say. Some of the weirdest I've had since Swamp Mates.
Boy.
I have some philosophical thoughts to share on the nature of SpongeBob later. Anyway, so my first episode is called No Pictures, Please. And ironically, I disobeyed it and took a few pictures that I imagine will appear at different points in this.
Leave a souvenir. It'll last longer.
I didn't show Gus the worst one. I think the last message I sent to Gus before getting into this was, I'm getting cartel flashbacks. And you right now live are gonna see Gus's reaction to what I meant by that. It's fucking horrible, yeah?
Yeah, alright. Was that a sufficient... Do you feel pleased by that being my reaction?
I don't know if I can.
Does that make you happy,
pleased.
Henry Galley?
Happiness is a distant memory. Okay, no pictures, please.
Oh, woo, we're back. Oh, I'm feeling it now. Speebop boop bop a doop. Woo!
So,
it's SpongeBob boy.
So this episode starts with the narrator introducing that it's another Tidal Zone episode, which I thought was like a one-off thing that was just in Charlie's episodes that we covered in the Crabber 5 SpongeBob Boys. But no, I guess that's just a type of episode that SpongeBob does. It's their equivalent
Always has been.
of the Tree Horse? The Tree House of Horror.
The Seahorse of Horror! That's what it should have been!
That been the Tree Horse of Hauser?
No, not the Tree Horse of... I don't want to be Hauser. I'm talking about the Seahorse of Horror. The Seahorse of Horror shows up and he gives birth to horrors.
Our episode begins with Patrick harassing a man at like a bus depot because the like attendant that he's talking to like won't give him balloons, and Patrick is so furiously angry at that. He, like, slams the, like, window down on the guy's head.
Very Patrick way to be, honestly.
Patrick sometimes just feels like Tuco from Breaking Bad. Just this, like, incredibly, like, volatile, unpredictable guy who might commit extreme violence.
It's like if Tuco, instead of being into, like, you know, selling meth and, like, doing crime, was into, like, balloons and candy and stuff like that.
I'm just picturing
like it's
Patrick like smashing up a candy cane, snorting it off a knife. Toy.
Yeah, Patrick is what Breaking Good Tuco would have been.
No, he's abusing this guy, and then he hears a noise, and he's like, balloons? And it's a bus. It's just a bus, and he goes like, oh, it's not balloons. It's just a boring bus. And everyone piles out of the bus and is, like, jamming up the, like, line for the bathroom. They're all sort of doing a wee-wee dance, including the bus driver, who runs out so fast that the kind of wind resistance snatches the cap off his head. And Patrick picks it up and puts it on. This is another one of those episodes that, we've discussed this phenomenon on multiple episodes before, when they just sort of over-animate everything in that kind of creepy, like, Ren and Stimpy style. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and sometimes it'll be like we're having this reaction take longer because we don't actually have enough story for the episode.
Oh, I would say they have plenty of story for this. I won't speak to that story's quality just yet, but things happen. Anyway, so Patrick just...
Sure.
Patrick picks up the hat and is like, I'll keep it warm for you. And I felt so grateful when he just put it on his head. Because, again, that from Patrick could have meant so many things, you know?
Yeah, that could be, it under the armpit. It could have been in the mouth. It could have been in the pants. Patrick is a very, he's got a lot of options when it comes to keeping things for people in whatever condition he implies they should be in.
It reminds me, because I guess we're going deep into the psychosphere in this episode. You couldn't expect anything less for a SpongeBob Boys, but it reminds me of this really weird memory I had of like...
This is our trippy synesthesia world.
It really is. We're the... Well, because Razzle Khan is literally in jail right now.
As all crypto people should be.
It's true, so we can lay claim to being the motherfucking crocodiles of Wall Street. But no, it reminds me of this early high school memory I had where in the early years of my high school, the canteen served like truly elite single slice pizza. You know,
I thought you were gonna say truly illegal single slice pizza.
Or it's England, like they served true eels in jellied form. Delicious.
Oh yeah, that's why they call it elite, because you eat the eels.
My favorite Coen Brothers movie, True Eels. Anyway, so this memory, which I will get to, I swear, had me buying a slice of this pizza, and this dude who was one of the older kids, because like British teenagers are just monsters. A Clockwork Orange had it correct.
True. I once had a tweet, like I delete all my least funny tweets. If you've seen an unfunny tweet from me, shut up. I forgot to delete that one. But one of my deleted tweets, which I needed to workshop more, was there is nothing in this world that two British teenage boys couldn't destroy.
I
believe that.
I think you're right, because this one British teenage boy destroyed my fucking pizza. He came over and he just the pizza bit of it, not the crust, he just grabbed it in his hand and just squeezed and then let go and said it should taste better now because it's my birthday, and left.
Oh no, that is the thing. The British teenage boys, they've got the like mannerisms and actions of like invincible villains.
Yeah.
Like they will just take something and mangle it, and then like it's like that was only one of them, you know? Imagine if there were two there. They scale the Goku.
Yeah, no, it's power scaling the British teenage boy. That's a...
How many British teenage boys is it?
I can't wait for that to become the new meta on that part of YouTube. Anyway, so back to Patrick.
Yeah, they've got the Flash. They've got the Flash, but he's not called the Flash. He's called the Bangers and Mash.
They're less the Flash and more Ezra Miller, just assaulting people.
No, wait, yeah. Yeah, they have all the powers of Ezra Miller, which is attacking people out of nowhere. And there's two of them. That's why they're called Bangers and Mash, because one of them bangs you and the other mashes you.
I'm not touching that. Anyway, so back to the Tidal Zone. Patrick puts on the hat, and he stretches and warps one of the bus's windows into like a mirror, sees himself in the hat, and his reflection says, "Say, you could be a tour guide." And then it cuts back to Patrick, and he says, "Yeah, I could be a tour guide." And then his reflection leans out of the mirror like Ash's reflection in Evil Dead 2, and is like, "That's what I just said." And then the door to the bus opens, and
You're
emerges...
good, Patrick. I'm bad, Patrick. Little goody two shoes.
So the door to the bus opens, and out steps Rube Goldfish, who we first met in his alien variant in
as
the Patrick
Space
Star
Rube,
show.
yeah.
But
this is the terrestrial equivalent of the Space Rube.
Yeah, I looked it up. This was his first canonical appearance as a character. Lindsay told me, and I looked it up to corroborate. He is inexplicably based on the voice and mannerisms of the 12 Years Dead California broadcaster Huell Hauser.
That is insane, but also my association with words is so broken right now because I thought you were going to say, like, he is inexplicably based.
Yeah, he's inexplicably based. He comes out and he's
really...
like, universal basic income, tax the rich, put away the Wall Street crooks.
Normalize manslaughter.
What is that? Where did that come from?
Anyone? I do like that we see the sort of alpha and omega of this character. This is his first appearance, and we've seen him go to the final frontier. So I'm excited to learn his humble roots.
Yeah, his humble rubes. So he emerges and he's taking photos of everything with, you know, the sort of classic tourist, like big flashbulb camera, and he has his catchphrase of amazing to like everything he sees, and Patrick is like, oh, I'm the tour guide, just follow me and I'll show you everything there is to see in town. And they walk by, and the bus driver, and I sent you a video of this, Gus, is just like, I can't hold it anymore, and just pops into like bits of scattered flesh.
We have a canonical fish death.
Gone.
Like one
reduced to fins.
Like one of the Leathermen in Barbarella. You can hear Gus and Charlotte talking about that on the Patreon.
Yeah, on the Patreon. $1 a month, please join. Yeah, those guys that are just made of like leather and screams.
Yeah.
You like hit them with anything and they pop and burst into a sound effect.
Leather and Screams would be a great name for a certain kind of club that I think both Charlie and Addison would appreciate. Anyway, so...
And I would wait outside because I'm supportive, but I also have my limits.
And I'm running the place because I'm a Sigma grindset kid. Anyway, so...
Might as well make money. People like it.
So, Patrick is, like, carrying around these, like, 2 bollards and a velvet rope, which he sets down to suggest that whatever he's standing next to is some kind of attraction. Like, he goes and stands next to this weird rock and puts it there and is like, this is the famous kissing rock of Bikini Bottom. And if you kiss it, you'll get good luck.
I like that Patrick is, like, so determined to become a tour guide that he is now gaslighting himself into him knowing, like, landmarks that he's making up.
It's true. Like, it must be said of Patrick, the man is a fabulist. He has a extensive imagination. He can run his own TV show in his head, as we've seen from the Patrick Star Show.
Yeah, that's just really a pocket dimension that is, like, ruled by him. He's kind of, it's come full circle because he's the Coconut Fred Fruit Salad Island of his own Fruit Salad Island, which is the Patrick Star Show, and he's the Coconut Fred, as previously established.
I thought you were going to say he's a cokehead, and I was like, oh god, it's Tuco Patrick again. Alright.
Oh no, not Cokehead Fred!
That could have just been an alternate title for Drop Dead Fred. Anyway, so, Patrick, to demonstrate, kisses the rock, and the rock gets up, and it's like a creature, and it goes like, don't get fresh with me, and like slaps him and walks away. And Rube is naturally amazing, and takes pictures.
That's real. That will happen to the Blarney Stone if you're a tourist and you go and kiss it in Ireland.
A lot of Irish teens piss on the Blarney Stone just because they then know tourists will come and kiss it.
Yeah. And they like watch from the bushes and giggle.
They don't want
because they've ruined people.
Teenagers from the British Isles don't want us to have nice things. Anyway, so
how do you think that got separated from the mainland? A bunch of those teenagers just started kicking the land bridges until they broke.
Oh, I feel like we're getting into dangerous territory here. Anyway, so back to Bikini Bottom, which has never had socio-political minefields quite like this in it. Patrick is going around, and we've entered the sort of fun and games segment of this episode. He approaches, he's like, here is one of our most abiding landmarks, this hole I dug yesterday, and he sits in it, and it's like, it fits my butt, and then Rube sits in it, and is like, it fits my butt too. I don't like when Patrick and Rube hang out. They bring out the worst in each other.
Yeah, well, they're just like, yeah, we're both like some swinging bachelors with fat asses out on the town.
Yeah, and then
That's their energy.
And then that they appear in like the darkened living room of this like guy in like a singlet with stubble on like a dirty couch, bordered on each side by like identical like little girls with like tracksuits on, watching the TV. And Patrick
What?
Patrick points at him and says, "And this is a guy who called me a bad word once." and,
Who is this man?
and the guy who, in a really bizarre turn, it's one of the only times I can remember seeing Clancy Brown do like non-Mr. Krabs additional voices. And the voice really isn't very different from Mr. Krabs. He was like, it's because you try to eat my mailbox. Girls, get these guys out of here. And these two tracksuit children accost Patrick and Rube and physically throw them out.
What is any of this? I'm just like,
it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
It's like, somebody got, like, the day before they had the storyboard, they saw the Royal Tannenbaums all smashed out of their mind and just put this family in tracksuits.
Yeah, this feels properly like, God, it's Mr. Lawrence being like, God damn it, I've got to kill page count. What's some more stuff I can throw in?
Hey, you know what? We can relate. We can relate to that.
We very much can.
We've done jobs where we're like, let's meet the word count, and by that I mean add stuff that's just a cul-de-sac until it gets there.
Though the specifics of that are an ancient mystery. Anyway, speaking of ancient mysteries, that was just for me and Gus and Addison and
You're
Meg.
silly. You're silly.
So Patrick next approaches a little boy who is licking an ice cream cone. And it's like, here is a local little boy. Legends say he once had an ice cream cone. And Patrick's stomach grows a mouth, which extends and eats the kid's ice cream. And Ruby's like, amazing, and takes pictures.
You've seen Pat back. Get ready for Pat front.
It's awful. It and much like Pat back, it is disturbing. But then the kid punches him in the gut and he, like, coughs out of his mouth the fully formed ice cream, which the child continues to lick. We live in hell.
Oh.
Anyway.
The ocean is fascinating.
It really is.
There's such majestic life down there.
But it's gonna get weirder. They raid Squidward's house and take pictures of him in the bath. They raid... It's weird.
I'm sorry, I just that whole sentence just
I guess you're gonna miss
good. Keep going.
The creep shot raid.
The Squidward raid. We're gonna steal all of Squidward's panties.
Yeah. So they break into SpongeBob's house. They are leaning over him while he's asleep, and Patrick is like,
I don't like that.
Here's a fun fact about SpongeBob. He sucks his thumb at night, which is when we get the truly atrocious subtitle that I took a picture of in parenthesis, snoring, sucking.
Oh, bad. Oh, very bad. Not good.
It cuts away to reveal Patrick is sucking SpongeBob's thumb. And he's like, I guess I meant me.
That's horrible. That's horrendous. And Rube Goldfish is just the witness to this, like imagine if you were getting like a tour of a city. Yeah, like imagine you're getting a tour of a city, and then the guy goes to like, no, don't worry, this is my best friend's house. I always come over here. And then he like leans over his sleeping friend and starts sucking his thumb. How do you, I guess you take a picture and say amazing.
Feels a little bit like the Belgian horror movie Man Bites Dog that I think is free somewhere on the internet.
Pat sucks thumb.
Yeah, Pat sucks thumb. You need to see at some point, and maybe this will be the out of the episode if I can twist Meg's arm into this, but you need to see the cover of Man Bites Dog, because picturing Patrick like that is really funny to me. Anyway, So
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the debauchery continues. Patrick is like, we need to take a break. So they go
Debauchery!
down and they raid SpongeBob's fridge. And Gary is there too, also eating. And Patrick says, I think the mayonnaise is off. So Rube and Gary splutter presumably expired mayonnaise onto Patrick's body,
Oh,
which he wipes up with 2 slices of bread and eats as a sandwich.
well, this could have gone a lot worse. They could have gone down there and then like began SpongeBob's John Wick arc.
Oh God!
Poor Gary.
Beating Gary to death. Oh, amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, amazing. Great. So sweet.
SpongeBob karate chopping open his like cement like floor and just being like, I'm ready. I'm ready.
That's so fucking fun. Mr. Krabs is
People
the,
keep
is
telling
the
me I'm
Winston.
ready. Yeah, I guess I'm ready. Yeah, oh my God, so
Stopping
true.
off at the Crabtinental.
Oh man, that's too good.
What an AU. Anyway, so the weirdness continues. There's so many strange sight gags in this episode. For example, when Squidward kicks Patrick and Rube out, they are kicked into the foreground. Squidward then screams at them in several ways, opening the front of his house, opening like one of the flower clouds in the sky, just like lots of weird stuff. And then
Squidward he's domain expanding.
He is, and then SpongeBob runs out of his house in the background and it's like, I need to wait, I'm late for work, I need to get to the Krusty Krab. And he runs, and in a bizarre feat of forced perspective, he like climbs over like Patrick and Rube in the foreground as though they are giant, but he's still little.
Strange.
But then,
very odd.
Then,
what's happening? Yeah,
Patrick and Rube move, and without drawing attention to it, you see that there are 2 distant mountains shaped exactly like their silhouettes when they were sitting there before, which is presumably what SpongeBob was running over.
Oh, the animators are going crazy right now.
Yeah,
like,
no,
what is happening?
It's so strange.
That's a lot of effort for, like, where are we in the episode, even?
I can't remember, because I'm now getting self-conscious. Like, am I forgetting stuff? So, they go to the Krusty Krab, they take a bunch of pictures there, and they take a bunch of pictures of SpongeBob making weird stuff out of the patties. And then, in a joke that feels very weird and scatological, even for Patrick, they're both in the bathroom, and he points to the toilet, and he says, and this is where all the food ends up.
Why?
It's just really gross and weird.
That's the thing. I think you were right earlier that like Rube just enables Patrick to do the because Rube is the ultimate like yes man by default. He will just say everything is amazing, which gives Patrick carte blanche to like keep going no matter how disturbing and morally questionable his actions are.
Yeah, he's this dark temptress that ushers us towards our worst selves.
Patrick needs like negativity in his life. He needs someone to tell him no.
Yeah, Rube Goldfish proves the limits of yes and. Anyway, so they do other things, like they both stomp on Plankton together in a way that feels really weird and sadistic. Like, Plankton is running through, Patrick stomps on him, and it's like, oh, he's always trying to steal the Krabby Patty, so we stomp on him. And it's like, Patrick, I don't think you have ever played a role in ever foiling one of Plankton's plots. That is not your department. But
yeah, I think that's something like Patrick tells himself because like Like, SpongeBob probably, like, when they're at Goofy Goober's, sucking down an ice cream cone, SpongeBob's probably like, Krabs' his old business rival. He keeps coming over and tries to steal the formula. It's driving me nuts. And Patrick, like, he internalized that, and he's like, yeah, that's my enemy, too, because that's my buddy's boss's enemy, so I'm gonna step on him.
Very Sopranos logic.
Yeah.
Goofy gooners.
Anyway, what is the amount of detail they put into these two guys, like, mashing plankton between their toes?
Well, the thing is, he stomps...
Do they go all out?
After he stomps Plankton, Rube is like, ooh, can I do it too? And Patrick's like, sure thing. And then Rube stomps on him as well, and Plankton screams.
This really could end with, like, Patrick being like, and here's all my illegal drugs. And Rube's like, amazing. Can I do them too?
This feels like, I'm going to reference one of my favorite videos ever, but this is Patrick and Rube just doing all the stuff that James and Pyramid Head are doing in that, like, Silent Hill video.
Yeah, no regrets.
Like, Patrick is just,
Sigma
like,
male
hitting
James.
the vape, and they're, like, smashing up a car.
Oh my god. I'm just imagining, like, Patrick, like, and this is the guy who owes me money. Takes out a golf club.
That's so fucking fun. Tuco Patrick is real. He's
Tuco
up there.
Patrick.
It's a devastating shame that Zoe isn't here. They would have loved this. Anyway, so
Yeah.
they cut a hole in the top of Sandy's tree dome after breaking in and getting dehydrated, and it fills with water and almost drowns Sandy. And they just go through bothering more and more people until at the end of the episode, Patrick and Rube, I'm not kidding, are cornered at Patrick's Rock by, like, hundreds of police officers. It's like the end of the Blues Brothers. And, like, the whole town is there. And...
That's insane.
And
I mean, I'm glad there are consequences at least, because these two have, like, they've cut a swath through Bikini Bottom.
And ASAC Larry narrowly guns down Patrick, and his co-worker gives him Patrick's boxes in, like, a lucite cube.
Now I'm just imagining Patrick and Rube going out like Thelma and Louise and jumping down into rock bottom.
Or like a Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they both go out guns blazing, freeze frame, you hear the Bikini Bottom police opening fire. Bitch,
yeah, exactly.
Bitch
it's
Cassidy
time to fight
and
the
the
Bolivian
shit
army.
Kid. Alright.
Exactly.
So, but the end of this episode is so fucking strange. Because Squidward is like, they took pictures of me in the bath, and Mr. Krabs is like, you took like photos of like proprietary patty making techniques that you weren't allowed to, so you need to surrender the camera. And they pull it off of him, and Plankton opens it up and is like, wait, there's not even any, like, film or batteries in this camera. And...
The plot twist of the century,
No,
what?
wait.
Oh, no.
People are really confused. And Rube says, I'm sorry, guys. I haven't been entirely honest with you. I came here today to look around, but the truth is, I don't even have a camera. And it cuts back. And, like, Mr. Krabs and Plankton now have nothing in their hands. And then he goes...
What?
In fact, I'm not even here. And disappears. And that's the end of the episode.
I am left with so many questions about the nature of Rube Goldfish. What? And this was his first appearance?
I think he might be the devil.
I think so. Like, I think, like, he is this, like, either that or he is, like, the Tyler Durden to Patrick's narrator.
That's so funny. It cuts back to Patrick doing all these horrible things and just saying amazing while doing them.
Amazing! Yeah! Oh my god!
Just the idea of Rube Goldberg being like,
I could believe it.
I look like you want to look. I fuck like you want to fuck. I'm everything you wish you could be.
Just imagining him like, amazing!
Patrick and SpongeBob hold hands. You've met me at a very strange time in my life. Bikini Bottom starts exploding in the background.
Where is my mind?
So, that was no pictures, please. I told you it was a weird one.
Whoa, okay, yeah, you got a, like that is, like, a, like, quintessential SpongeBob Boyz, like, meta-narrative lore one. I don't know if mine can immediately top that, dude.
Well, let's hear it anyway, because I will say, my next episode is a properly insubstantial one.
That's okay. I think I got, so mine were from season 10, and it's very clearly a different era of this show, but we'll see just how different when I begin to describe the incredible shrinking sponge.
All I'm going to say is, has there ever been a good show that has 10 or above seasons?
I thought you were gonna, like, come for, like, shrinking episodes, and I was gonna be like, you know what? I can't think of a good shrink, like, the character shrinks episode.
I can think of one. It was
the
latest episode of the Kingmaker Histories as of this recording, which everyone should go and check out. That yes, there is a Shrink Ray episode, and it's ridiculous, and Aleister Crowley is in it, and has weird fleshcrafter sex with Ariadne. You should absolutely go check it out, folks at home. Season 3 is almost completely out.
That's an awesome episode. I was also going to say the episode where Walt and Jesse get small and fight that fly. That was pretty cool, too.
Yeah. Just things that would completely change the vibe of any show.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, The Incredible Shrinking Sponge begins with, you know, the, like, pink background fish that has, like, the blue bikini top and, like, the blue skirt?
Yes, one of the just kind of random ladyfish. By the way, I loved yours and Charlie's last SpongeBob Boys episode. It felt so nice to not have to watch some SpongeBob episodes and still enjoy one of the videos. But I will say, I was screaming at the fucking computer at seeing neither of you remember the name Old Man Jenkins.
yeah, well, because we were caught up in calling him, like,
Mole Man Fish,
SpongeBob's
which
Mole
is
Man.
accurate sociologically. But
yeah, it's, you know, sometimes, you know, you gotta be kept on your toes, you know? The lore can't always stay consistent. It's SpongeBob after all.
Exactly. Oh, amazing. Anyway, let's get back into the incredible shrinking sponge.
It's also, I do want to point out that guy is not always Old Man Jenkins. Sometimes Old Man Jenkins is a different dude.
Old Man Jenkins can be many things.
Every old fish is Jenkins in some way, essentially, deep down. But anyway, back to this, like, background fish. She walks up to the cash register, and she wishes to register a complaint to Squidward. And that's because there is an urchin inside of her Krabby Patty.
Ooh. I love the of, like, the massive inconsistency of what urchins are meant to represent in SpongeBob.
Yeah, it's true. So this one's not even, like, animated like the other urchins usually are. Like, it has as a lot of things in SpongeBob in the later seasons do, it has, like, a bitey mouth with, like, white teeth in it.
It's a little fucking Langolier.
Everything's a Langolier in SpongeBob because it's devouring our time on this earth.
Oh, how I would love to do a SpongeBob Boys with Stephen King.
Attention, YouTube!
Dream
Langoliers
guest.
have taken over the world! Our world!
Everyone screams. Anyway, okay, so Urchin in her
Squidward...
sandwich.
Yeah, so Squidward takes one look at this, and he, like, jumps up on the counter, and he does the, like... I don't know what it's from, but it's that old, like, movie trope of him going, like, eek, a mouse, but he said he's like, eek, an urchin, ah! And, like, he goes, like, all the way to 11 with his delivery of, like, an urchin! And he's freaking out. The urchin jumps out of the sandwich. Background fish goes back to her table, and Squidward and this thing are locked in Mortal Kombat. He's trying to, like, smash it with the cash register. It bites his nose. And then SpongeBob, who is a friend to all living things,
a really gory fatality on it.
Yeah, exactly. Finish him. He puts it through his clarinet, and then he, like, blows and plays notes, and it, like, comes out the other side as a skeleton.
I mean, the thing is, as you've seen the photo, the audience doesn't know yet. Something that looks like a Mortal Kombat fatality happens to Squidward in my next episode, so...
Oh my god, yeah, you're right! But we're not there yet. Right now, life is still precious. SpongeBob comes out of the kitchen.
Life still has meaning.
He saves the urchin, and he's like, urchins are still one of Neptune's creatures, even if he's just a little guy. But the urchin bites him, and, you know, then like, the urchin kind of, like, runs off, disappears. And, then we're left with, like, SpongeBob, he's, like, cooking on the grill, but the grill is hotter than usual. Like, it's bright orange, and it is, like, steaming out into the main part of the restaurant. And SpongeBob's, like, dancing around, but then the patties, like, start, like, shriveling up and, like, getting, like, black and, like, wrinkly. And he's like, oh, wait, the grill is on too hot. And he tries to adjust it, but it's too late. The steam gets to him, and because he's a sponge, he shrivels up from the steam and becomes tiny, you see.
This feels like an occupational hazard that he should have been aware for. This is like working at the fucking Nutella factory with a nut allergy. There's gonna be steam in this room.
Well, if I could put on a certain, like, you know, Sherlock Holmes-esque coat and a Sherlock Holmes-esque hat
and start Millie rocking,
adopt some opinions of a very opinionated man, I would say at least this episode remembers that he's a sponge.
No, it's true, and it is nice when a little bit of the true self exists within the false self.
Yeah. So SpongeBob says that he steamed himself tiny. That's his explanation for this. He is frolicking around in the kitchen as a little tiny guy, and he's wearing a pickle as a loincloth over his, you know...
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah. So he's doing that. He skates around on the hot grill with 2 sticks of butter, which obviously melt, and his feet get burned. That's not so good.
This has some hippie soup vibes to it, I must say.
A little bit. Like, it is one of those ones where, like, you know how you were saying the fun and games earlier? I think that we could call these parts of the episode sometimes the fun and sames, because it's all the same joke.
The fun and lame there.
So, absolute freaky.
Yeah.
So SpongeBob realizes, oh yeah, that's right, the grill was overheating, and the grill blows out. So even at his small size, he decides to, like, fix it, and he gives his nose, like, a determined, like, flick, and he's about to, like, go underneath the grill to fix it, and he gets into this, like, you know, the grease trap area where he's, like, filling up with grease. And it's nasty. But he runs into his old friend, the Urchin, who is in a, like, mouse trap at the moment.
Oh no. Squidward has gone onto Temu and ordered one of those tiny crossbows that Chinese teenagers shoot cockroaches with.
Wow.
That's a deep
I'm
cut.
sure Jordan Peterson would see that and start crying.
Yeah, the symbolism.
the symbolism. They're destroying the West, and it's like that's not even happening anywhere near you, man.
Am I alone in thinking that I could very easily picture Jordan Peterson singing the Snow Miser song? That's just the vibes he has to me.
You know what? Yeah, I can see that.
He just has those vibes of like a menacing cold man who would sing a slightly mischievous song.
I'm too much. Ba-dum, bum, bum,
Maybe he's crack mice.
That's how he was like. That's like what his consciousness was on a loop on when he was like in the like Russian sleep coma.
Well, he was in the Russian sleep experiment. They've got the big like automated jack-off machine on his.
Mr. Order. Yeah, exactly. They milked him. They milked him dry.
Awful.
Anyway, SpongeBob again, because he respects the sanctity of life, he lets this urchin out from its mousetrap, and it chases him around trying to devour him because, again, it is a Langolier, and it knows the future. It knows that SpongeBob will go on for much longer, and it's got to have that delicious time nooch in its body. And so SpongeBob and this creature have this chase scene, and it culminates with SpongeBob, tiny SpongeBob, getting up on the soda machine, which is, in this episode's continuity, back in the kitchen area of the Krusty Krab, and he activates the soda machine and washes both of them down the drain that is in this episode's continuity in the back kitchen area of the Krusty Krab, and the urchin is washed down the drain. And SpongeBob hangs on for dear life, and he says, "Go, swim to freedom, little urchin. I'll never forget you. Really, I'll never forget you." And he pulls a, urchin spike out of his butt.
I enjoyed that. It's awoken things in me.
Yeah, exactly. New fetish uncovered.
Yeah, unlocked.
So, SpongeBob... Yeah. So, SpongeBob... Alright, so after SpongeBob has his whole, urchin subplot, he decides that it's time to start working again, so he goes to deliver a patty to a customer, and he runs out, naked. He's abandoned his pickle loincloth, excuse me, and he is holding a Krabby Patty above his head, and as this is happening, Squidward thinks he's an urchin and tries to smash him with a ladle.
I don't think Squidward thought he was... I think Squidward knew what he was trying to smash with a ladle.
No, that's fair.
I think he might have been like, oh no, an urchin. Squidward going on those, menacing, monkey hate videos when he's at home, being like, I wish I could do this to SpongeBob.
I wish it's finally time. It's finally my moment. So there is some consistent psychology that could explain Squidward doing that. What is less sure is Mr. Krabs mistaking SpongeBob for Plankton and being like, "Oh, you're getting sloppy, old Plankton. Squidward almost got you this time."
That's something about old Plankton is so funny because it's much like Meg has said before. The weirdness of the time when Patrick was like, I'm a big man, SpongeBob, a big man. It creates this weird feeling of are you a man though, Patrick? Is that a label that fits you? It's the same as old man Plankton's been trying to steal the formula for years.
Yeah, Patrick is less a man and more a force of nature. But in this case, Mr. Krabs flicks SpongeBob across the street into the chum bucket, where he ends up getting, scanned by Karen, who is like, SpongeBob, you're tiny. What are you doing here? And SpongeBob landed on top of Plankton on his way in. And Plankton, of course, what's weird about this shot is that SpongeBob lands on him, and there is a bit of, Plankton skid on the ground, Plankton slime. Plankton is completely himself.
Mark.
He's whole. Yeah, he leaves a green, Plankton-colored skid mark on the ground. after impacting Sheldon with like the force of an entire
There's
crab
also
flick.
something that's so fucked up about, like, SpongeBob and Plankton being the same relative size.
Well, they're not. They're not. Plankton takes out the measuring tape and realizes that he's taller by 2 millimeters.
That must have done
So he
great things for
wins.
his self-esteem.
Yes, so he wins, and he's so excited about it, and SpongeBob starts cheering too, because SpongeBob is supporting his fellow short kings, and Plankton gets caught up in the, like, tape measure tape, and it, like, pulls him apart, and he, like, Buggy the Clown style, collapses into a bunch of Plankton parts.
He had the chop chop fruit.
Yeah.
He had the chop
When you
chop
get the
fruit
chop-
in his chum chum room.
Exactly, the chum chum.
Do you also sometimes think about the chum chum room?
No.
It was that room that dude from the show Porn Stars, Chum Lee, he had his own, like, candy shop.
What are you talking about?
And he had a room in the candy shop that he called the Chum Chum Room, where he did meth and banged sex workers.
I'm not doing a bit. I don't know what this is, man.
People in the
paradigm.
People in the comments will know.
Yeah, leave in the comments if you remember the Chum Chum Room. Also in the comments, normalize manslaughter. Do it. Call your congressperson.
That's something that I don't know what that's a reference to, so we're both in the dark here.
Speaking of in the dark,
Manslaughter
that's
in the
not
Chum
a
Chum
segue.
Room.
Anyway, Karen is done. Karen throws SpongeBob out of the chum bucket, given that her husband got mangled into a pile of his own parts. And SpongeBob flies across the street again, and he hits the window, where a child in a baseball cap discovers him, immediately peels him off the window, and puts him inside of his mouth.
I mean, that is realistic. Like, little kids do just want to put random shit in their mouths.
It's the British teen just like, oi, there's a sponge on the wall, better devour it.
Governor. What are you and Addison going to do the
Governor.
next after movie?
We'll have to, I used to think love was stupid, but it turned out I was stupid.
Anyway, 1 sec, kill SpongeBob.
Yeah. So, anyway, this kid goes into the Krusty Krab where a bunch of kids are hanging out, and he takes SpongeBob out of his mouth and says to the other kids, look what I've got, an action figure, which raises some questions about his previous actions.
It's that same, like, it's like Bubble Bass's weird, extensive collection that we spoke about a couple of episodes ago.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, he has all these different toys. He's trying to collect his Pigulons. Like, Bubble Bass is a storied person with a wall worthy of being one of those people who, like, is like, you can trust me on nerd news. Here, I'm gonna uncritically read this article for 20 minutes, stretching it out long enough to have multiple mid-rolls, and you'll eat it up because you don't read on your own, and you can't read.
Alright, what does tiny SpongeBob do at the mercy of these children?
He doesn't do shit. He's lost all his agency. These kids, like, fight over him. They take him around the whole restaurant. At one point, SpongeBob ends up in Squidward's, like, front shirt pocket, which means that these kids are gunning for Squidward. They jump into the cash register boat area and just start beating Squidward into a dust cloud.
These are British teenagers.
But Squidward fights back, and he says, all right, you brats, if you don't get back in the play area right now, I'm gonna 86 your faces.
What?
I don't know. It sounds
I'm gonna
rough.
search that. 86.
Yeah, look that up in real time.
Slang. Urban Dictionary. That frightens me. Oh, it means to refuse service, get rid of, or throw someone out of something. So it's like a food service term.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Squidward's just gonna throw them out. Like, I'm glad that Squidward isn't just gonna be like, I'm going to murder you in front of your parents.
Squidward pulls out a Glock and like holds it gangster style.
I have a gun!
That's a kill shot.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mr. Krabs then takes SpongeBob away from Squidward and the kids and goes, action figures at the Krusty Krab actually cost real money, so get your parents to buy this action figure, and then you can play with it. Cue every adult in the Krusty Krab running out of the restaurant at the same time because they don't want to pay for the action figure.
Mr. Krabs runs that restaurant like he's a fucking, like, feudal lord in his little fiefdom. It's so corrupt, so unfair. It really is just a miracle why anyone eats there.
Because it's like sometimes in the middle of the day, he will decide that like some new item is on the menu and completely change. Like Mr. Krabs would be someone who is like, and if you buy 47 Krabby Patties, you get your you get a picture of an ape, but the link is actually the non-fungible token that can generate value.
So many people were scammed on the crab coin rug pull.
Crab coin. Exactly.
The Krusty
So
coin.
Mr. Krabs has cleared out the entire restaurant, and him and Squidward are just sitting there for a second, and Squidward goes, Eugene, we don't have action figures here.
He's like, do you think I don't know that? I am making a little bit of money where I can see myself able to do that.
Mr. Squidward, I am a dirty, filthy skinflint. I'm trying to get the grift, and you're fucking it up for me.
It's like you
So
don't
back
even
me the
know
fuck
me.
up. Yeah. You know exactly who I'm supposed to be, Mr. Squidward.
I love the idea of like
You
Mr.
don't have to
Krabs
respect me.
giving this very like oddly honest and vulnerable but weirdly raw villain monologue where he's like, you don't even understand, Mr. Squidward. I'm so rich, but it brings me no joy because it's not about having the money. It's about the thrill of getting the money. That's what gets me hard. That's all I live for. The chase.
He's like the I don't know why this is the reference I'm going to, but like he's like the fire chief in Fahrenheit 451 where he's like, "Oh, I don't spend the money. I just like it. I just keep it around to look at
just a
it.
way of
But I would
keeping
never
score."
spend it. No." It's like having a house full of beautiful women and not touching one of them.
But also knowing no one else could touch them either.
So anyway,
Yeah, this got weird.
So they're having this bizarre psychosexual discussion, and SpongeBob reveals that he is a tiny little guy, and Squidward and Mr. Krabs are confused about like, oh, okay, he wasn't an action figure, he was just a tiny little guy, but they're trying to figure out how to like, you know, keep the business going with SpongeBob being a tiny little guy, because he can't do the patties if he's a tiny little man. A small man.
He's too little. It's a problem.
So, Mr. Krabs ponders, what do I do with a tiny SpongeBob? And a thought bubble appears over his head, and in that thought bubble appears a wooden sign that says, Personal Hygiene Service.
You're a monster, Eugene.
3 words that are utterly foreboding.
Sponge boy me Bob. Ever wanted to clean the sweat off a nutsack?
Oh, I mean, that's just shy of what this next segment is all about. Because Mr. Krabs removes that wooden sign from his thought bubble and pins it just below the menu, and a disgusting, like, acne-riddled, like, imagine, like, what would be the, like, Waluigi to Bubble Bass's Wario is like, yeah, finally, hygiene!
No one is...
And they get...
Sorry, I'm just... Who the fuck is it gonna be eating at your, like, restaurant that is, like, fast food burger joint / happy ending masseuse?
Yeah, no, my favorite thing about going to Wendy's is that after I eat the burger, they send out somebody to, like, brush my teeth for me in my own mouth.
This is horrid.
It's just like that anime. You know the one, because you're filthy, disgusting perverts, all of you. Anyway, it's just as bad as you think it will be, Henry. It's just as because like SpongeBob is like out here like popping pimples. He's out here like shaving people's backs. He's getting in between their like plaque-ridden teeth. He's like just it's everything that you would not want it to be and nothing you'd hoped it would be, and SpongeBob's doing all of it.
And there are monsters on the earth. Like
there are monsters in the Nickelodeon studios.
We've always known that. But
we've known that, and now we know it more.
You know this, Gus. I've seen some horrible things in the line of duty.
You have.
Just hearing that,
we both have.
Hearing that makes me feel so nauseated.
Yeah, and on top of everything, like I hope Mr. Krabs is making like some good money off of this, because Squidward is now doing all the jobs. He's cleaning the Krusty Krab, he's washing the windows, he's doing the register, and now he has to make the patties too. And he also has to wash the dishes. He's doing everything. And it's just not working for him.
So my question is, where is the hygiene taking place?
In a montage that was too long.
No, but where is it taking place in space, physically?
Some of it in the bathroom, some of it on the like restaurant floor next to where people are eating.
Just imagine eating a burger in like a McDonald's. There's just some guy being scrubbed down by McDonald's employees.
Full like thick cape of back hair, and it's just there's a little tiny leprechaun man shaving his back.
You'd be like, was there something in this burger? Like,
I don't want to eat here anymore. I want to go home. Mr. Krabs, you've created a lucrative side business of enslaving a tiny man to do the dirty jobs no one else wants to do. But at what cost? What has this done to your restaurant,
Mr. Krabs,
Mr. Krabs?
has always been about oppressing the little guy for his own monetary gain.
Yeah, so this episode ends with Squidward using tiny SpongeBob, to wash the dishes as a sponge, and the bubbles make SpongeBob bigger. So Squidward like holds him under the water a little bit longer, and definitely not trying to like.
Yeah, maybe if I hold him under the water a little bit longer, watching these bubbles, everything will be okay.
I mean, we're so far past how any of this should make any amount of sense in a setting that is beneath the ocean. But SpongeBob absorbs all of the bubbles, grows to massive size, bigger than the Krusty Krab, and Mr. Krabs, like, in the hand of SpongeBob King Kong style, is like, Mr. Squidward, call the fire department! And SpongeBob says, oh, don't worry, we'll be there in just a few steps. And he walks away down the street with wearing the Krusty Krab like the barrel of a former billionaire who lost everything.
I love that as a piece of, like, kind of vintage imagery. The suspenders on the barrel for like guy who's been ruined.
You know the Jack and Daxter game, the first one has a good one of that. He's like a gambler who gives you a couple missions, and he's just in a barrel. It's very fun.
That is fun. So
that was the Incredible Shrinking Sponge.
I don't think it was I don't think this had like nearly enough fun with its premise. You know.
Well, it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, SpongeBob steamed himself to become tiny, and he's just like, I guess I will just proceed with my day, even though I'm tiny. Like, it seemed like he didn't try to do anything to bring himself back to full size, and it was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna do whatever. This is my life now. I will just adjust to this new status quo of me being like a human toothbrush.
It reminds
and
me.
Back Scratcher
Did you ever
and
read?
Pimple Popper.
Did you ever read the Roald Dahl book, The Witches?
No. I saw it on a shelf many a time in my childhood, but never actually opened it up.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
Okay.
What is this, a quiz on witches?
Well,
Give me a break.
Okay.
I don't know shit about witches.
Guy who is absolutely a witch and is trying to hide it when there's like a dude with thumb screws there.
Please continue.
I know shit about witches. What is this? The fucking witch trials? Yes, it is. And we are gonna dunk you in this water.
More weight, motherfucker. I'm Giles Corey up in this bitch.
Another New England legend.
Yeah.
But no, so
That's a great reference in Big Top Burger. I love when they bring that in. That was an ad lib, by the way. I love Big Top Burger. Much better fast food show.
It's true.
Honestly.
It's true.
I know
as,
we've said
as
that
was
before.
discussed in the previous one too. But so The Witches has a
Yes.
really weird ending because Roald Dahl was a very existential guy in his books. So
Sure was,
the witches in it are like a subspecies of like creatures that disguise as normal women but want to kill all of the children in the world. And their plan is to do that by creating a chocolate company where the chocolate has a special potion in it that turns children into mice, and then they'll just kill the mice. And
that's very like, and then I'll turn him into a flea, a harmless little flea, and then I'll put that box inside another box and mail that box to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer.
Honestly,
it's brilliant.
Not dissimilar. So the main character is
Yeah.
like an orphaned little boy whose parents died, and he lives with his grandmother, who is like a witch expert because her sister was killed by a witch when she was a little girl. And the witches in this do like nightmarish things to children. Like there's one little girl who was taken by a witch, and after she was taken, she appeared in like a landscape painting in the family's house, just a little picture of her, and the picture got older as the years passed until eventually she died of old age in the picture. Like fucked up shit happened in that book.
Oh my god, yeah, wow.
But-
like to do a like Dorian Gray adjacent death to a child
No, it's
is
true.
insane.
But the main boy accidentally gets the chemical and becomes like a little talking mouse. And at the end of the movie, the one like nice witch uses her magic to change him back. But that doesn't happen in the book. The last chapter of the book is the little boy who is now a mouse talking to his grandma. And the grandma saying, well, the thing is, mice don't have as long lifespans as people, so you're probably only gonna live for another 3 years. And the little boy is like, well, that's okay, Grandma, because you're old too, so that's probably about how long you'll live, so we'll get to spend the rest of our lives together.
Like,
And it ends on that note.
Okay. Yeah, that is very existentially interesting. Where it's like, okay, yeah, like he and his family will, enter that cold, dark sleep together. And if that's not the bonds of love, I don't know what. Like, weird, strange, but like I get where he was coming from with that. But that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is. I will say, is a legitimately challenging ending to a book. And the thing that triggered it in this case being this idea of like, well, I've been existentially transformed, but I'm not going to try and change this. I don't think I have the tools. I'm just going to try and make the best out of what I have.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that like if SpongeBob got like Franz Kafka metamorphosis, he would still be like eating breakfast with his family, still trying to like, chat them up about like all his goings on during his day. Nothing would really change for him.
And Mr. Krabs will presumably not have a problem with a giant cockroach flipping burgers in his
At least he's
greasy spoon.
At least he's the proper size. Yeah, that's the thing. Mr.
You have
Krabs
2
would
extra arms now, SpongeBob. You can flip even more patties.
SpongeBob would be employed like even if he were a worm. I'm just thinking, Mr. Krabs, would you still employ me if I were a worm?
Credit
Of course, me boy.
credit to SpongeBob. The man is the best at what he does, and as a result, he has job security. So actually, my next episode is a Krusty Krab episode, but I wanted to have a very brief philosophical discussion about what I think changed about SpongeBob because
Okay, yeah.
and it is actually something that I think can be defined in one very simple creative choice. So an interesting thing I learned about SpongeBob is it definitely can't be marked as the transition from hand drawn to digital animation. Real quick, Gus, I would like you to guess which season SpongeBob transitioned from hand drawn to digital. Don't look it up. Just go with your heart.
I'm gonna like lowball it and say that it was probably like season 5.
It was season 2. Only season 1 of SpongeBob was hand-drawn animation. The rest is all digital.
Whoa! I had no idea. That's really crazy.
I found that out
That's
because...
way sooner than I thought that was like commonplace.
No, exactly, and I found that out because I was thinking about potentially buying a SpongeBob animation cell at one point, but they're quite rare and pricey because, yeah, there was only ever one season of hand-drawn SpongeBob. So that's not the creative thing, because obviously there are a lot of episodes that we would consider absolute classics in that 2, 3, and 4 period where it was all digital.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think, not looking at it with rose-tinted glasses, but sometimes when I'm working, as part of my big ambience, like work and chill playlist, I have SpongeBob music playlists, which admittedly did also lead to the legendary Squidward puke incident discussed a couple of years ago on one of these episodes.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing that changes the vibe of SpongeBob is there are so many of the kind of more slow, easy, like contemplative Polynesian music pieces that what I would describe as sunset music that you never hear in the show anymore because it's not the kind of show that ever has scenes that would suit that kind of music.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there because it feels a lot more like
TikTok
they'll
pacing.
expand out. Yeah, like the gag sections of the episode are what is most of it. Sometimes it'll begin on a gag and end on a gag with never the like setup or like breather moment or even the ending feeling like a real resolution.
Yeah, and
or denouement or anything slowing down. Yeah.
no, precisely. And I think these little moments of quiet, and if you heard some of the songs, you can probably literally everyone listening to this right now who is like a dyed in the wool SpongeBob fan from the early seasons, picture those kind of like slow, like lilting strings. You know, ones that are played, for example, like when SpongeBob was like settling down to bed in the episode when he decided to like become a naturalist, you know, or
there's even stuff in like there's even moments in like very gag heavy episodes, like when SpongeBob and Squidward are up on that hill with the brick wall in between.
No, I was
them,
literally gonna say that one. Yeah,
yeah.
Like, and I think while it is not literally a case of no, they'll have the old vibe back if you put those songs back in. It's the deeper thing that not having those songs represent. It is a show that has become so deeply self-conscious that in any moment where it isn't touching the keys of Jangulon, it's going to lose your attention.
Yeah. It's become too frantic for those songs to make sense anymore, which is why bringing them back would necessitate a different approach to the writing.
And I think it's what makes the show, at times as an adult, so exhausting to watch, and what makes, you know, a collective, 46 minutes of episodes that we've watched today between us, something that you can fill, 2 hours talking about, because there are just so many individual beats of stuff.
Well, that's the thing. It's like for us, I know we both take notes on the episodes we review for this show. And for me, it'll be like I'll have to pause multiple times going through the episode because things will happen that are noteworthy so quickly that I don't have time to write them all down. Even when I'm doing like shorthand notes, like shortening like SpongeBob to S-Bob and Patrick to Pat and Squidward to Squid, like even then I run into this situation where I'm just like, oh my God, too many things are happening. I don't have time to take it all down.
It's true, and I think for the record, like, it's also kind of what made shows like Adventure Time and Steven Universe feel really special, that they were never really afraid to just sit in a vibe for a bit.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, like, there is such a survivorship bias to, like, don't get me wrong, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, and classic SpongeBob all really have earned their audience and have earned their place. And like, I'm not denigrating the good memories that we have and that like people of all generations who grew up with them have with those things. But a lot of their contemporaries were very aimless, very like fast paced, like they were like a lot of things were closer to Johnny Test than we really give them credit for. Like Dexter's Lab, for example, is a show that I remember really watching a lot of when I was a kid. If you try to watch some of those episodes now, they feel so like frenetic and pointless is the best way I can put it, where it's like the episodes will just kind of end when they like run out of permutations of the joke that episode was establishing. And it'll always feel abrupt. It'll never really feel like there's like been any kind of character development or anything, because that wasn't the point of shows like that. It was just like, let's just, fill the time slot, basically.
No, it's true, and it is the case that like that's true of a lot of cartoons. And I think it's so strange, isn't it, when you think about the fact that Dexter's Lab was like a Gendy joint, but then his other kind of flagship show of the time, Samurai Jack, was something that was so quiet and slow and contemplative at its best.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that like, for like every like kind of show that was just put out there because they had a concept, and it's like the network ordered this many episodes, so you had to make that many, even if you only had like ideas for half of those amount of episodes. But in and amongst all that, you got things that respected the ideas, that kids had more emotions than just go jangle the keys in front of them.
No, it's true, and the funny thing is, like, I think there is
Honestly, it's only like, I'll be real, I think it's only gotten better. And that like for in terms of stuff that makes it onto the networks, I think that there are a lot more shows that respect kids' time, where kids' entertainment really gets like superficial and thorny and in some cases I'd say harmful to developing minds, is sites like this and other sort of platforms like TikTok and stuff, where like kids are just kind of getting inundated with stuff that is not made with their best interests and doesn't speak to the nuance of human reality.
No, it's true, and I'm going to say something that may be a little bit controversial here, but I will argue my case. It is the reason why one of the biggest kid shows at the moment is The Amazing Digital Circus. And I know that Gooseworks herself has ardently denied it, and said, like, oh, it's not a show for kids. But I'm gonna be real, she's wrong. Like, there is nothing in that show that's inappropriate for kids. People could say, oh, the existential theme. Did you not hear the Roald Dahl book I described like 20 minutes ago? Like,
yeah.
Like,
I would say that the Amazing Digital Circus is like a really good, like it does feel like what early SpongeBob and Adventure Time and Steven Universe was for like kids at those respective
No,
staggered
exactly.
demographics
That's
would
the
be.
thing. The thing is, the reason people have this knee-jerk response of it's not a kid show is A, to kind of, I don't know, save face for themselves if it's something they really like and they don't want to think of themselves as like liking something that kids also like, which, it's really not a bad thing. Chill out, it's fine. Um, and the other thing I was gonna say is that like there is nothing in there that we haven't seen in media for kids. Its horror episode is no scarier than Five Nights at Freddy's. Its retail episode doesn't do anything SpongeBob or fucking at worst Mr. Meaty
Yeah, like
wouldn't.
you're not gonna mistake the retail episode of The Amazing Digital Circus for any episode of Severance. Like, it's not gonna be that deep a critique of like the work-life balance.
Yeah, it's not
not to
fucking
disrespect either of
Clerks.
those pieces of media. Yeah, it's not going for that. And it's interesting because like I do feel like there is a very, especially here on YouTube, there are people who get really like tense and sensitive when you compare anything they love to something for kids. Like even like stuff that is like universally beloved but notably for kids, like Avatar the Last Airbender. I won't name any names, but I got a comment where someone was like saying like, well, you can't just say Avatar the Last Airbender is a cartoon from the 2000s. It meant so much more than that. It's so much bigger than that. And like I
So,
look
but
at
it
that
was
comment and like,
factually a cartoon from the 2000s.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like I'm sorry if like you personally hear the word cartoon and you think this makes me look embarrassing, like me the person who would leave that comment, because that's not how we would intend assessing one of these things. Things can be cartoons and still be like an important nuanced piece of media. I would say like even outside of like the internet stuff with like Amazing Digital Circus, obviously you could point to stuff like the Owl House, which like someday you and I will get to, I'm sure, in some capacity. One of us will. But Bluey, that's a show that has reached a lot of people, and it's not all like frantic goofy fun. A lot of it is like just imagining a family that cares about each other and exists in a sort of like cozy environment where everyone is communicating properly. And not just that, like there are other shows that fit that same mold. Like there was a show for like really young children, maybe around the same age as Bluey, a while before that, called like Peep in the Big Wide World. I know Zooey is aware of it. I think Zooey is like maybe in the demographic of people who were like closer to when it was like airing, and it was like as like a sort of like they were growing up with it.
Sound off
kind of
in the
thing.
comments, Zoe, if that applies to you.
Yes. But yeah, it's just one of those things where like I think, like, I'm glad you brought up this philosophical discussion, because I think so many people forget that as an adult, we might have these like instincts to be like, oh, well, I can't be like, there needs to be a line drawn between what is good for kids and what is good for me. And that's where we get like the instinctive, like, oh, well, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish it's not just an animated movie for kids, it's for everyone. And by everyone, I mean me, the adult who watches it and needs it to be a not embarrassing thing to be into.
There was
I think it
ironically
can
a
be
very
both.
good classic SpongeBob episode about this, the Grandma's Cookies one,
Yeah, exactly,
about
exactly. Like, I
reconciling
think
maturity but also enjoying the like little comfort things in life.
exactly. I think if you fully give up on your like inner child and you're not seeking out this idea that like, like experiences like this of pure imagination can still be for you and still might contain those quiet moments where you're just able to appreciate things in your life and in the life of these imaginary people that you're like sharing your company with. I think if you turn that off, you do lose something. And I think you do start to see the world as a more bleak and bland place. And and you start to see your own desires for something that isn't that as inherently embarrassing or cringy. But there's no shame in that. We promote that. We like you and me, Henry, and like a lot of the people we work with, and a lot of the people who are like, commenters and followers of the channel. I think in general, so many of us, we have these imaginative visions of what the world could be and what would make us happy. And that doesn't stop at McDonald's now being a gray rectangular building versus it used to contain play spaces.
No, it's true. It's really, really true. And before I get on to my SpongeBob episode, in the interest of absolute fairness, I have
Right.
realized in a purely functional sense, I get that Gooseworks might be leaning so hard on the "it's not for kids" out of the very palpable financial worry that if YouTube classifies it as content for kids, she will be financially fucked.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like YouTube content for kids is its own whole it's a problem.
Worms.
Like it's a yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't begrudge. Honestly, like, now that it's on Netflix, it feels more in line with some of the other stuff. Like, some of the other like great shows that have been for kids on Netflix like over the years. Like what was it? Kipo and the Wonder Beasts, Centaur World, there's other ones. There have been a lot of like, quality shows not the Dragon Prince. But no, I shouldn't be mean to the Dragon Prince. But it's
I've never seen it.
but fair
no,
enough.
It's
anyway.
We'll get...
We've had our little philosophical aside. I think it was a necessary and good one. But yeah, you were saying?
No, okay. So this next episode is called "Stuck on the Roof." It is frankly all there in the title. And as such, this is going to be a much shorter journey than the first one. Its weirdest moments happen in the first few minutes, where SpongeBob is dancing to... Sorry, go on.
Is this going to take place on the, like, green pineapple roof? That... Well, all right, okay, listen, my expectations already subverted.
We're in for a roller coaster. So it begins with SpongeBob doing bullshit in the Krusty Krab kitchen, where he is playing like electronica music on a CD player and like doing very like bootylicious dancing. A lot of sort of like twerking, a lot of individual moving of his cubic butt cheeks. With the
who put him on the planet?
And Squidward at a point leans through, and SpongeBob trips over, knocking Squidward's face down onto the grill, and knocking a complete patty up the, like, is it a range hood? Is that the name for the thing in the kitchen where it, like, kind of vacuums up the fumes so you don't set off the fire alarm?
You're asking somebody who's probably... have either of us worked in fast food, Henry?
No, but I have a kitchen. I'm just searching that.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a range hood.
Me outed as not having a kitchen, apparently.
Oh, no. Wait, God.
But I do have a kitchen.
I'm sorry to do a demotion. We need to tell the audience about that fucking conversation we had the other day, where, like...
Wait.
The party.
Remind me.
The Stephen Hawking's party.
Oh, yes! Oh, this is...
I forgot what the context was. I'll breeze through this quickly so we can get back to the SpongeBob. But for some reason I told Gus about Stephen Hawking's, like, time traveler party, which was, like, an experiment/publicity stunt that he did, where he held a private party in his house with, like, balloons and streamers, and there was, like, a cake, and it was just him there. and he only publicized the party after it happened and was over, and said, this is a time traveler party, so if time travel is real, people in the future will see that this party happened and come back to it, and they didn't. So that was his way of proving that we never invent time travel.
To which I responded, that's genius!
And I responded, well, yeah, it's Stephen Hawking. And we both just sat there and laughed for like a full minute afterward.
Yeah, that was you and me at our most like Statler and Waldorf in terms of our like delivery of things.
We were two goons bantering in like a Guy Ritchie or Tarantino movie briefly before getting shot by a dude who gives an awesome monologue. Anyway, so he loses the fucking patty up the chimney of the range hood and tries to climb up after it. Squidward lifts his face up from the grill, but his face has been melted off his skull and is still attached to the grill. You see that he has all of this like musculature like behind the ripped skin and like a single bone that is in his nose, and then he picks his severed face up off of the grill and just holds it. And it looks like something out of a cartel execution video. It's a fucking nightmare.
It's never a good sign when, like, an image from a SpongeBob episode feels like it would get a video demonetized. Like, if you showed it for too long. You know what I mean?
No, I've seen some people do this with Family Guy. What we should do is, we should go through SpongeBob episode by episode at some point and cherry pick all of the weird little moments like that, screen record them, and then, sorry, I just heard a weird noise that made me think someone was out there, but I don't think they are. If I die in this is SpongeBob Boyz analog horror.
I mean, presumably, you know, your house only contains you and the other people who live there, so outdoors would have to contain all of the other people conceivably in the entire world.
Damn, that's some Stephen Hawking shit right there. But no, I think it would be fascinating to get all of these weird, creepy little moments, edit them together, like put a filter on it, and say, "Hey, this is the SpongeBob Lost episode."
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I think that's like really fun because like you and I in some of our other work have had to like skirt around the terms of service on certain platforms when it comes to like
in
what
some
you
rather
can show.
craven ways.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, SpongeBob and Family Guy and whatever else are on a major network, so they're subject to different strictures than the ones that we would have in some of our projects.
No, it's very much true. Anyway, so Squidward's face is dismembered, and Mr. Krabs comes in and is like, "You better get that patty back, because I'm not wasting a single one." And SpongeBob...
I'm just imagining, like, Mr. Krabs putting Squidward's face back on the grill, and it's like, "Finish cooking this patty, me boy." Serves it to a customer.
We're really getting into that fucking cans without label shit, huh?
Oh boy.
That was a fucking horrible sit. We can't get into that. Anyway, so...
No.
SpongeBob climbs up the chimney onto the roof and has the patty. And I shit you not, when they all come outside and are like, "Well done, SpongeBob, come down now," they do a visual homage to the Alfred Hitchcock movie Vertigo. They have the, like, multicolored, like, zoom-ins on SpongeBob's face, and, like, the image of him, like, falling into block color as a way to represent his fear of heights, just like in Vertigo.
That's awesome. Cool. I'm glad we're doing that, I guess.
And that's our episode. SpongeBob is scared of heights now, and he doesn't want to come down. He's up there. That's where he lives. And the episode is about him adjusting to that. And
you're telling me that this is like fun and sames, like so much so that like nothing noteworthy occurs past this point.
One noteworthy thing occurs. So he does the standard stuff. He tries to build himself a bed up there. Mr. Krabs moves a grill up there. I will admit, another reason that I'm glad I got a slightly insubstantial one is that me and Meg are having dinner with their parents tonight, and part of me is like, oh god, I can't be here till 5, I'm going to pull a James Rolfe. But I will, in detail, tell you that the truly...
You son of a gun.
Yeah, the truly baffling thing that happens in this episode. While up on the roof, SpongeBob sees through Squidward's window. There's so much just peeping on Squidward in these episodes.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Squidward has made a fancy ham dinner, and he's poured 2 glasses, but he's drinking from both of them. He's like having a date with himself. And SpongeBob is like, oh, it's so sad to be alone. Yeah, it's so difficult to put yourself out there these days. I'm going to do my pal a favor. And he pulls a flashlight out of his body, puts his hand up in front of it, and makes like a shadow puppet in Squidward's house that he first has massaging Squidward's head. It's able to physically affect him. But then the shadow puppet goes rogue and starts attacking him. And there's this one bit where Squidward's at the window screaming and the shadow like pulls him away from the window.
SpongeBob, I think you've been hanging out with Nosferatu too much.
You've been reading some of Nosferatu's special books.
You've been chilling out with your good friend and beloved recurring character, Nosferatu, a little too often, if you catch my drift. Wink!
And some of the other weird things that happen in this episode is, basically, Mr. Krabs, rather than making any effort to, get SpongeBob down, builds a, like, rooftop
Of course
area.
not! Of course not! Because in the episode where SpongeBob is tiny, Mr. Krabs is like, how do I use a tiny SpongeBob versus how do I fix this fix this fellow sea creature and restore him to what he was? It's no. How can I adjust my entire world to work on this, like, whatever this temporary stopgap is.
He's on that.
That's the Mr. Krabs way. He is much like an actual rich entrepreneur, and that it's just like, well, this is a weird quirk of the market for this moment. Better overcorrect and have this be my main strategy for 10 years and screw everyone else over in the process of me bursting this bubble.
Yay, capitalism.
But I'll be fine, because I have enough money that can take care of it. Charlie, get out here! Where are you?
The Charlie effect strikes again. So...
God damn it!
Little by little, this results in this, like, rooftop dining area where SpongeBob is cooking stuff and people go up there and they're like, oh, this is so exciting. But then all the food starts blowing away when a storm happens. And there's even one joke where Fred is like, rain, but we're underwater, and then wind blows him away. So at least they still nod
Serves
towards
you right.
it, I guess. But,
yeah. Get both your legs broken, Fred.
Fuck you, Fred. We hate you, Fred. But,
we hate you. All my homies hate Fred.
I feel like my brain's melting in real time. SpongeBob builds another identical Krusty Krab on top of the previous Krusty Krab. So everything is saved. But people on the inside, in another case of the SpongeBob writers have weird opinions about the, fast food market, people go, but now I'm indoors, I'm bored. And they go to leave. And the episode ends with Squidward has commandeered the downstairs Krusty Krab and, styled it in his own fashion and is relaxing down there. But then the weight of the other Krusty Krab on top slowly forces Squidward's original Krusty Krab underground. So for all intents and purposes, everything is normal again now, except Squidward has been under the Silver Lake.
Oh, I see. It's a metaphor for the writers didn't want to make any more of the episode.
Yeah. This was the moment where Mr. Krabs truly became Heisenberg.
Yeah, like there are a lot of like episodes in that like stretch of seasons where it will just be like something new has happened to the Krusty Krab, and we end on Krusty Krab business continuing, and then the next episode it'll just be different again. It'll be like what it used to be.
Written by Vince Gilligan.
Right, exactly.
Anyway.
Oh my, wait, that's it. That'll come up actually in my next one.
Tuco
but we're
Patrick
not
is
there
back.
yet.
Well,
Tuco
now
Patrick, and
we
not
are.
exactly Tuco
What's your
Patrick.
episode?
So this next one is called Sports with a question mark, and instead of an S, it's a Z, or as you call it in the dumb countries, a Z.
Z sounds better, not to sound like the movie producer from Vicious Fun, also on Patreon, but Z sounds better than Z.
Yeah, you would say that because you've been culturally raised to recognize it so it feels more natural to you and doesn't to me, and that's why I have a bias towards the contrary way to do it.
Don't make me set
that
some of
would
our
be true.
teenagers on you.
Please don't, oh god.
I'll do anything.
Actually, literally send like 2 of them over right now. We could use some of that in the States. I don't mind if they tear society down.
Anyway.
Exactly.
The whole bangers and
Hello,
mash.
governor. You won't be governing no more after we've had our
They
way.
kill the governor.
Be a straight up murder on the dance floor.
But they better not kill the groove.
Oh, they'll kill everything and everyone.
If you think you're getting away, they will prove you wrong.
We can't keep doing this. We can't go. Yeah, anyway. Sports. So sports.
Is it just the name of the
The
title?
name of the episode is Sports.
Oh no. Sports ball.
Yeah, good old sports ball. So this episode begins with SpongeBob, again, in a very over-animated way, struggling to get his trash can out of his house. He's like pushing it, his limbs are like elongating, and he just needs to get this trash can to the curb. And
Go on,
while
SpongeBob,
he's doing this,
you can do it.
while he's doing this, a mail truck passes by, and a package arrives on the curb, and it clearly says Sandy Cheeks on it. Like, it says, like, 4 Sandy Cheeks.
But
This
SpongeBob
cardboard box
chooses to
does.
commit a federal crime and open someone else's mail, I assume.
Oh, naturally. Yeah, so he puts his trash can, like, off to the side, and he starts approaching, and then Patrick comes out of the trash can, because he was just in there, and the 2 of them go over to this box, and they open it up, and it is... Henry, what do you think is in this box? What's in the box? Come on.
What's in the box? Gwyneth Paltrow's head. I couldn't even begin to predict. Acorns.
Wrong! It's
you lose,
sports
sir.
equipment.
You get nothing.
You get nothing. It's
Oh, I
sports
get it,
equipment.
because
It's
she's
all...
Texan. She's into, like, NFL shit.
Well, it's not just footballs. It's every sports equipment ever. It's lacrosse sticks. It's baseballs. It's tennis balls. It's bowling balls. It's helmets. It's everything. It's every sport all in one in a big old pile. And SpongeBob hoists it over his head, and he doesn't know what any of it is. He has no clue what sports are. He doesn't know.
Do you
He
reckon
never
they
knew.
stopped doing the karate gag because kids started hitting each other and saying karate or something?
Maybe. I like that. That is a possibility. I think.
That is one sport that SpongeBob and Sandy were canonically into enough that they wore like regulation hand and head guards for it.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, there have been stranger curtailings in the history of Nickelodeons. For example, in classic Nicktoon Angry Beavers, there was an incident in which the phrase "shut up" was actually censored with a bleep, which is really crazy in retrospect.
I mean, it's like how in the UK, because in the 80s and 90s, they deemed ninja to be an inherently violent word, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were called the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
That's awesome. Because, like, they're such ninjas that they have to, like, stealthily be ninjas.
It's
secretly.
true. They're even more ninjas in the hero version.
Like Rube Goldfish, it's just like, wow, they're not even here. Their show's not even airing. That's how stealthy they are. That's how secretive they are. Oh, amazing. So anyway, SpongeBob and Patrick don't know what sports are, and they don't know what any of this equipment does, so they're misusing everything. SpongeBob thinks that the, like, hockey stick is for getting, like, books off of the top shelf. So they're in his library, SpongeBob and Patrick are, and he's pulling books off the top shelf, and they all land on Patrick. He's not having a good time with that.
Reality explodes when Patrick finds the book SpongeBob was reading in Swamp Mates and was like, "Did you write this? This is really weird."
He gets Jumanji'd into it.
Like, it would be like, imagine if you found one day that, like, I had, like, a file on my Google Drive that was, like, a story about, like, you and Charlie going on an adventure.
we face off against Huruguru.
Yeah, it's
him.
Yeah, like
I've had a little too much silly juice.
Yeah, it's like just a story that I've written about you two fighting like a vaguely racist villain in a swamp. You'd be like, "What the fuck have you done here, Henry?" And I'm like, "No,
well,
I read it to my cat."
So Patrick mistakes the bowling ball in the sports equipment for a whipped cream holder, which means he's going to open SpongeBob's fridge and pour whipped cream into the 3 bowling ball holes.
To quote Meg, nut.
Which is it's a classic reference to one of Charlie Green's favorite movies, The Big Lebowski.
God damn it. Why would you do that to them and me? I love that movie.
Because I've got nothing to lose right now. Anyway,
there is a file photo.
Patrick...
There is a file photo of me when we were all in Georgia in front of the Dude mural that Gus will definitely not put on screen because it will be too far into the video for him to want to do that kind of edit.
I thank you for respecting my time, but here it is, motherfucker! Here it is!
Wouldn't it be wouldn't it be so funny if it wasn't there?
that would be see that is a multi-layered bit. Like, imagine like when you said that it wasn't there, but now it's there. But what if it's not even there then?
This is up to future Gus to decide what kind of joke this is. Anyway,
what if I pick? Yeah. So
Patrick
is anyway,
creaming in his balls.
Yeah, so he creams into his ball holes and he ingests the ball and it goes through the back, like it weighs down the back of his head, and he and the bowling ball smash through SpongeBob's floor down into his like musty, gross basement.
I don't think we've ever seen the SpongeBob SquarePants basement. I'll have to update my blueprints that I've been drawing.
And we won't really, because like what's down there is like we get a shot of SpongeBob like looking in, and then like this is what I meant
it's just
earlier
full of
when it's like we're getting
upon boxes of Mr. Krabs' mother's underwear.
Oh my god!
This is where they went.
I mean, Patrick is in on it, so he's like not surprised by that. But
SpongeBob, I compromised the sanctity of the collection.
What this made me think of more than anything is that Patrick is like lying down here with the bowling ball in his mouth and looking up through the hole, and it reminded me of like Walter White, like lying in his basement where like the rot is.
When he's just like laughing madly about all the money being gone.
Yes, except like Patrick is here. He's like chewing on the bowling ball and like licking the whipped cream out of its holes.
Patrick chewing on his big creamy balls.
All right, okay.
Patrick will suck the cream out of Sandy's balls.
I just remembered why we do this show, or rather, what this show does to us.
Yeah, this is bad.
So they're still misusing everything. SpongeBob thinks that the baseball glove is a portable snail bed, so he has Gary sleep in the baseball glove. And then, because the writers were, like, done with, they ran out of bits to do, we go over to Squidward's house where he's singing his, like, la-da-dee, la-da-doo, la-da-dum, and he's made a nice, delicious meal of nondescript sea creature food, and he's about to sit down and have a nice banquet with himself when a tennis ball crashes through his window and destroys all of the goddamn things.
And it's like, just after I'd subdued the shadow monster and done the right ritual to bind it.
This shadow monster will now be my shadow wife. It will be...
Squidward doesn't want a wife. Let's be real here. If Squidward ain't gay, nobody is.
Yeah, exactly. That's
my quote
a
for the
true
day.
Cultured man. If Squidward isn't gay, nobody is. Oh my god. If sorry, I'm
It's a
just
psychological
thinking,
flashback.
if Mr. Squidward isn't gay, none of us are.
And I should know, I was in the Navy.
Yeah, so anyway, Squidward...
We've all done a little bit of buggery, my boy.
Gee, wow, breaking out the British version of it, okay. So, Squidward's meal has been destroyed. He goes outside and sees that SpongeBob and Patrick have, like, destroyed his garden. Yeah, not beating the allegations. They've destroyed his garden with all this sports equipment. So Squidward shows up and he learns that neither of them know what sports are. And he's like, what, you don't know sports? These are this is a hockey club, or this is a hockey stick, this is a basketball, and these are two morons, and he grabs them both by their necks and smacks them together.
That must have felt gratifying for him.
Oh yeah, totally. And so while Squidward is making maybe directly after our own joke, the best case for his heterosexuality in knowing all of the sports, he converses with his angel and devil Squidward selves, who are wondering what to do about the information that SpongeBob and Patrick don't know sports. Do you teach them how to be not dangerous with the sports equipment? Or do you double down and make them play dangerously and cause each other pain because it's payback time?
Wow, we're seeing a bit of a return of classic Squidward here. This is a similar Squidward to the one who, sabotaged the bubble messages.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. But again, this is later seasons, so Angel Squidward's consciousness is hit by a tennis ball and bruised, and so he agrees with Devil Squidward. He's like, give him hell.
That's a
a
pretty good gag, actually. I like that.
Yeah, I thought Angel and Devil Squidward were well used in this, and so Squidward decides to teach SpongeBob and Patrick how to play sports wrong in a way that makes them inflict maximum amounts of pain to each other. and I know what you're thinking, past Gus. I know what you're thinking, past Gus, who's done this twice, and I'm stopping it right here. I know you're gonna say, "Oh, Hellraiser Squidward, that would be sick. That's gonna be in the thumbnail." It's not. For a third time, it won't be. But I know this time. It's not a new idea. It's just something I keep coming back to.
We just think about it a lot. I'll talk to Meg about it. Anyway.
A lot. So Squidward makes them play blind horseshoes, and they stand really close to each other, SpongeBob and Patrick, and they just start throwing horseshoes at each other, and their faces swell up. And Squidward's like, oh no, pain means that you're getting more points.
He's recording it, he's recording it and selling it online like the sensei from The Art of Self-Defense.
He could. That was the other thing that Gary moment from your episode could have been.
Yeah. Oh my god. Snail is a very non-masculine pet, SpongeBob.
That's a good movie if anyone hasn't seen it.
It really is.
Oh my God.
Addison recommended it to me, then I recommended it to Gus. It's an underrated Jesse Eisenberg sleeper classic.
Jesse Eisenberg is a good actor. I'm
no,
gonna say
it's true.
I really like him.
I really like him too.
Yeah. So you know what I don't like is SpongeBob and Patrick, and that's why I like when they're taking pain. They're having pain inflicted upon them by playing sports.
That sounded like an Ultimate Warrior promo.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he's just saying a bunch of stuff.
The blood moon's gonna come down, and you guys are gonna be sorry because you're gonna see that I'm gonna do bad things.
And I'm the warrior.
And I'm the warrior, baby. I'm gonna run for president maybe someday. I don't know.
I'm dead now. Anyway.
I'm dead now. So, but not as dead as you're gonna be in the ring when I come back in WrestleMania and rise from the dead.
Zombie Ultimate Warrior.
With the Blood Moon. Zombie Ultimate Warrior. I'm dead, but I'm the Ultimate Warrior.
What is this show anyway?
It's Spin Bob, Gin Bob,
you need like several different degrees and a variety of subjects to appreciate the level of like intertextuality and references in an average SpongeBob Boys episode.
You need the amount of degrees I'm gonna make your arm turn when I deliver that Indian burn to you in WrestleMania.
Okay, Ultimate Warrior, can I have Gus back, please?
Okay, so all right, so another gag that they do, because again we're in fun and lames, run and gun territory. SpongeBob and Patrick are like running shoes on rollerblades on sand, which is, not advisable, obviously. That's the joke. SpongeBob falls into the sand, he eats a bunch of worms, and he spits out a huge clod of dirt full of worms.
Yay.
This feels like that, like, one, you need to leave sketch.
Modern SpongeBob feels like so many of them.
Yeah, he spits out a big clump of worms. Comes bursting out of the wall with a dingleberry. So SpongeBob and Patrick are causing each other pain. This goes into a very Mario Party-esque sort of just games designed to inflict sadistic outcomes upon these two characters. At a certain point,
I love that for that particular concept, Mario Party is what you went to.
Listen, man, it's no
joke. They put him through a series of sadistic games designed to cause pain, like Mario Party.
Listen, man, we can't make light of history here. The things that Mussolini put my people through are not the Mario Cellini. It was his party, and we all had to show up. We rolled around on big bowling balls. Patrick shot the football gun at SpongeBob that shoots footballs out of a turret.
Did Squidward
it was not fun, man.
Just so they could hurt each other with it?
No, he left them to their own devices, and they found new ways to this escalates into there is a stadium full of fans watching. It all began with a shark boy and his shark dad who go, "Hey, can we play with the sports?" And the son says that, and then the dad goes, "Oh, we're sports fans. We just watch. We don't play the games." Which, another fun bit of social commentary from SpongeBob.
Makes me think of in an earlier episode where SpongeBob put on human football to disguise the fact he was watching an enemy softcore porn from Gary.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary, I was just watching sports. And the fact that famously he's played the bubble ball.
He has played the bubble ball. Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't know what sports are because this is season 10 and fuck you.
Picked the right time, but the wrong sponge.
So anyway, SpongeBob and Patrick have fully given in to Hellraiser Squidward's devious plan of causing each other boatloads of pain. And who better to be the hero that this episode needs than Sandy Cheeks, who realizes her mountains of sports equipment haven't been delivered to her house.
I'm glad she's realised that SpongeBob stole her mail.
Yes, so Squidward, sorry, not Squidward. Sandy
I'm just like thinking
tracks
about him.
down her. Just wait. He's in a rare form this episode. So Sandy tracks down her lost mail and happens upon SpongeBob and Patrick engaged in a terrifying, life-enfeebling round of kickboxing in which they both handstand and wear boxing gloves on their feet and punch each other into oblivion with their kick. It was like a punch, but clearly delivered by a foot.
I have to say, this is a classic case of, guys, you've already done one of the best kickboxing jokes of all time on your show. You can't do another.
Yeah.
Championship
You really
kickboxing. At least this one doesn't involve boxes. 2 boxes whacking against each other.
Not only that, but there's that other kickboxing joke of Patrick being like, I must warn you, I am a champion kickboxer.
Boxer.
And somehow, neither of them know what kickboxing is enough to invent a more, like, Cenobite-coded edition of it to cause, again, to hurt each other. And Sandy shows up, realizes things are wrong, and is like, okay, who's in charge here? What's going on with these gladiator games? I need to get to the bottom of this. And who shows up but announced by the sharks? The shark, like, son and dad are like, oh, the rule giver is coming. The rule giver appears.
I don't think the people who made this show know enough about sports to write this episode.
So mist pours out of the the vomitorium of this stadium, and Squidward, wearing a purple robe carried on a palanquin hoisted by Larry, the Orca, and Gold Team Rules, is pushed out into the middle of this area, and he makes his big appearance. And Sandy walks up to him and is like, you know, like, who are you to disturb the sanctity of sports or something? And Squidward removes his hood and he's wearing a crown. And he says, oh, me? I'm the king of sports now.
This feels like no one involved wanted to write this episode. This feels like it was, like, baked and boiled in contempt.
Yeah, because, like, now we've got, like, King of Sports Squidward, who is in a cloak, sitting on a throne, wearing a crown, and he is challenged by Sandy. Essentially, Sandy challenges him to basketball, so it is, like, because she's like, you have hurt SpongeBob and Patrick so much with your sports and your control over them, so I challenge you to sports, a Space Jam for the soul of SpongeBob and Patrick to decide their fates, essentially.
Oh boy.
And so Sandy challenges Squidward to basketball, and, like, again, this crowd is still watching, and they go at it. Squidward is no longer wearing his crown and his robe. He's back in his normal clothes. And Sandy goes like, all right, but just to warn you, we're playing basketball with San Antonio rules.
Again, this is one of those, like, we've talked about it sometimes, the, like, occasional moments of lucidity SpongeBob episodes where it feels like, oh, damn, pieces of original characterization are coming back to the surface.
Exactly, like Sandy knows the surface world because she's a land critter.
Well,
so
and
she
specifically
knows the
San Antonio,
rules.
Texas.
Yeah, exactly. She knows Texas. So she, essentially what San Antonio rules means is that she beats up Squidward and then dunks the basketball over his head, to which Squidward says, that's a foul. And she says, oh, tell it to your mama, Squidward. And Squidward goes, mama? And in the audience, Squidward's mom, I think the same design they've used for her at some other times, is like, I don't want to hear it, cross-armed.
That's so I love that Squidward's mom is this weird. She's really the Livia Soprano of SpongeBob.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, if another different character hadn't already said the, like, you just can't wait for me to die, can you? It should have been Mama Squidward.
So fucking funny.
So then Sandy, like, has the brilliant idea of, like, well, since I scored on you in this one sport, those who win a point get to decide what the new sport is for the next round of this. And then she basically catches Squidward in a combo. She goes into soccer, where she kicks a ball in his face, and then it becomes a football game, and she tackles him, and then it becomes a lacrosse game, and the tackled Squidward is caught in her lacrosse net, and she throws him into a billiards pool, and she does some other stuff to him when he's in the billiards. She Bankai, Cotton, Kyotetsu, all sports are real now, and Squidward loses.
This like Squidward just getting absolutely sports dominated by Sandy. Feels like someone was getting something out of this.
Yeah, it turns out all you needed was a sporty squirrel to just utterly destroy the husk that Squidward has become, realizing that being the king of sports is a hollow Pyrrhic title that means nothing to him.
And in the end, eventually.
Yeah, in the end, he must be dealt the Dolores stroke and suffer the fate of the Fisher King. And by that I mean, over the billiard table, his entire face falls apart onto a plate, and we are treated to his big bug cartoon eyes on a live action plated calamari squid.
Enough of he's ripping Squidward's face off in this, please.
So Squidward concedes. Yeah, so Squidward concedes because Sandy is too raw and too based, and he's just done. And SpongeBob and Patrick, who are heavily injured, SpongeBob in some kind of medical corset or something, is there, and Patrick, who is in much worse shape, his body is standing there headless with a bone where his head should be, and his actual head is in a wheelchair separate from his body.
You would get demonetized on YouTube for that.
Yes, which is why it's probably not the visual I'm using for this episode at this end. But yeah, so they've been saved from their fate of eternally doing sports and being in pain because Sandy set them free. And Sandy says something about or SpongeBob and Patrick are we're free from sports. That means we're winners. And Squidward, who is still dazed from losing at every sport, Sandy says, "Oh, don't worry, Squidward, you're a winner too." And Squidward says, "I hate winning," and his head explodes.
Meg has a Letterboxd playlist called movies where they just fucking blow up at the end. And if this was a movie, it could go on it.
Yeah, that is how sports. That's the end of sports. That's how they completed them. They're done now.
They completed sports. Pack it up, lads.
No more Olympics. No more field goals. No more home runs. Nothing. It's done. It's over. Touchdown forever.
It's again another thing that Kit and Rory on TPL have talked about: the phenomenon of the knockout punch that can happen right at the start of a boxing match. And they're saying that's the only sport that could happen in, because it's not in basketball, LeBron James or Michael Jordan could just do a dunk so hard they just call the game right there.
Yeah, they're that's it. You can't, there's no beating that.
Yeah, so you motherfuckers won't top that. That was the best one. That was incredible.
Yeah. Exactly. If the hoop breaks off, they just get a new hoop.
Exactly. Whereas I guess they're kind of oh, Mike Tyson killed that guy too quickly. Can we drag another boxer in so people don't feel like they wasted their money?
Yeah, that's what we need in boxing. We need understudies.
Yeah, we'll just have him fucking destroy people until until people get at least like an hour and a half of entertainment out of it.
Yeah, that is really funny because like when it comes to sports, I guess that's the nature of pain in sports is when your goal is, delivering your score to the human body, there is a potential of overscoring, of of succeeding too much, and the sport ends because the human body can't take it. The opposing body cannot survive what you have done to it.
I think this is why all of the like Republican legislatures are forbidding or like trying to forbid trans people from participating in sports because they know their moves are just too sick, and it would just show
because,
up everyone else.
Well, like we said in a previous video, when you transition, you get a sword, and you can summon that sword in a boxing match, which means
it does kind of make it a bit unfair, cleaving a boxer.
Yeah, because
half.
like the thing is, Mike Tyson, I don't care how good of a boxer you are, you're not beating someone who has a sword made from the soul of them finding their true selves.
And if that sounds fun to you, you're gonna love our upcoming show, KILLJAM Triple X, coming out in April. We have an official release month now. 3 episodes are done. It sounds fucking sick. You'll get to hear more from it soon.
Oh yeah.
I'll give specifics when we have specifics.
We're launching in the same way that a talented sports person launches a ball towards whatever that ball should be going to. I don't know.
This has been
sports,
This
baby.
has been SpongeBob Balls.
And you win.